Arizona, a land of endless horizons, where the sun bakes the landscape into a masterpiece of reds and golds. Under a vast, silent sky, its cities surge upward, monuments of glass and steel, humming with the energy of relentless growth. But listen closely. Beneath the roar of commerce and progress, a quieter story unfolds. It's a story lived in the margins, away from the neon glow of Phoenix's boulevards, and deep within the sun-drenched alleys of Tucson. It's found in the forgotten corners of sprawling suburbs. These are the chronicles of the unhoused, of lives lived without an anchor, without a door to lock against the world. We call it homelessness, but it is more than a statistic. It is a profound human ordeal. What are the stories behind the faces we pass by? What chain of events leads a person to the edge of society? And what does our response say about who we are? Today, we journey into the heart of this unseen world. We will meet the people whose voices are lost in the noise, and in doing so, we confront a vital question. In a nation of such abundance, why do so many still search for a place to belong? Section 1. The scale of the problem. Arizona has become a troubling epicenter of the nation's housing crisis. In Maricopa County, a single evening's count revealed over 9,600 individuals without a permanent roof, a number that climbs with each passing year. In the state capital, Phoenix, a fragile city of canvas and survival stretches for blocks, a stark testament to a system at its breaking point. For thousands, the path here was paved with familiar hardships: a rent increase that became unsurmountable, a sudden pink slip, a health emergency that wiped out a lifetime of savings. But here, the very environment is an adversary. The summer heat, a relentless force that can push temperatures past 115 degrees, makes Arizona's streets the most lethal in America for those exposed to the elements. It is a silent, lethal foe. This isn't a contained issue. It's a tidal wave that puts immense pressure on our first responders, our hospitals, and our civic infrastructure. Shelters are perpetually at capacity, forced to turn away, desperate souls. And a heartbreaking new trend has emerged. Families with young children are now the most rapidly expanding demographic of the homeless. It is the ultimate paradox of our time. For every new spire that scrapes the sky, a deeper shadow is cast on the ground below. Section 2. Humanizing the crisis. Leo greets the dawn before the sun does. The last drops from a warm water bottle are a small luxury, a way to feel human before the world awakens. The unyielding concrete of a bus stop was never his battle plan. For 15 years, Leo was a master carpenter, his calloused hands building homes for others. He ran a small but proud business. Then, a sharp economic downturn hit the construction industry like a hammer. The contracts dried up. He bled his savings trying to keep his business afloat. But the foreclosure notice was the final blow. The life he had so carefully built vanished, leaving him with only the tools he could carry. Leo is not an outlier. Consider Sophia, a 42-year-old mother who once owned a small, beloved neighborhood bakery. Her life was filled with the sweet smell of fresh bread and the laughter of her 2 children. Then, a fire in an adjacent building caused catastrophic smoke and water damage, forcing her to close down indefinitely. The ensuing insurance battle was a slow-moving disaster, draining her finances and her spirit. She juggled gig work, but it was never enough. The family car became their temporary refuge before she made the agonizing choice to send her children to live with their grandmother in another state, promising to bring them back home soon. And then there is Kai, just 19. They were the first in their family to go to college, their future bright with possibility. But when Kai came out as non-binary, their family, who had been paying their tuition and rent, cut them off completely. Stranded without a financial safety net or a place to go, they were forced to drop out. Their dreams of a degree were suddenly replaced by the desperate search for a safe place to sleep. Section 3. Connecting stories to the broader issue. These are not just anecdotes, shared for a fleeting moment of emotion. They are living chronicles, testaments to the kind of heartbreak that reshapes a soul, and a daily courage that most of us will never have to comprehend. Behind every cold number in a government report, behind every percentage point in a news broadcast, there is a pulse, a human story, woven from a complex web of loss, trauma, and quiet moments of dignity in the face of despair. And that is why they are not asking for our pity. Pity keeps people at a distance. It creates a wall between us and them. They are asking for something far more powerful: our attention. The simple, profound acknowledgement to be seen as a whole person, to be heard above the noise of judgment, and to be recognized as someone who is infinitely more than the crisis they are currently living through. Before this, many of them walked the very same paths we do. They coached Little League, celebrated anniversaries, and worried about deadlines at work. They made plans for a future they had every reason to believe was secure. They are not a separate class of people. They are our neighbors, our colleagues, our fellow citizens, who once stood exactly where we stand now. Because what their stories teach us is that life is fragile. The line between stability and chaos, between holding a key in your pocket and having no door to open, is thinner than we ever allow ourselves to believe. One unexpected diagnosis, one sudden layoff, one single event that shatters your foundation, that can be all it takes to unravel a lifetime of careful work and plunge anyone into the abyss. Section 4. Systemic responses. In response, Arizona has begun to champion a housing-first model. The concept is as simple as it is revolutionary. Provide a key and a safe room first, and then address the complex issues like addiction or unemployment. No preconditions, no moral judgments. Just a home first. Federally funded initiatives are slowly bringing new housing units to life, designed for those who have been chronically unhoused. But the pipeline is bottlenecked. For every one individual who gets a key, 5 more are added to the waiting list. At the same time, official sweeps clear encampments from public view, a policy that offers the appearance of a solution. But without providing anywhere to go, it becomes a cruel cycle of displacement that heals no wounds. It just moves the pain to another sidewalk. Government funds are earmarked for mental health services and addiction treatment, but they navigate a labyrinth of paperwork and jurisdictional delays. Projects stall. And in the political arena, the crisis itself can become a tool for debate, rather than a call for unified action. There are sparks of progress, specialized response teams, streamlined zoning, but while committees hold meetings, thousands wait. They aren't waiting for promises. They are waiting for action. Section 5. Grassroots Hope. When official systems move too slowly, hope finds a foothold. Not in boardrooms, but on the pavement. It's powered by ordinary people who refuse to look away. At places like the Oasis Canteen, it's the quiet solidarity of a hot meal, served every single night. The volunteers aren't there because they have to be. They are there because they are neighbors. Mobile outreach vans from Project Nightingale navigate the alleyways, bringing healthcare directly to the people. A dose of medicine, a clean bandage, or simply a compassionate ear can be a lifeline. In other neighborhoods, small collectives like the Sunrise Hub offer coffee, fresh socks, and vital information about shelters. Small acts of profound impact. When you have lost everything, consistency is everything. You see it in the places of worship that convert their halls into cooling centers during the deadly summer months. You see it in the small business owners who place free water coolers outside their shops. These are not grand, sweeping solutions, but they are tangible acts of compassion. And they prove that monumental change often begins with simple gestures, offered with great heart. Section 6. Deeper dive into challenges. The Arizona summer is not merely weather. It is a relentless hunter. During the day, the sun turns the air into a physical weight, and the asphalt becomes a searing griddle, capable of causing third-degree burns on unprotected skin. But the threat doesn't end at sunset. The pavement radiates stored heat all night long, turning every attempt at rest into a desperate battle for survival. In this desert, the primary killer on the streets is not violence. It's the quiet, agonizing toll of dehydration and heat stroke. But beyond the physical threats, there is a barrier that can be even more lethal: the invisible wall of stigma. It's a wall built from averted glances, fearful whispers, and harsh judgments. It allows society to paint thousands of unique individuals with a single, broad, and brutal brush, labeling them as a lazy burden, a public nuisance, or a threat. But look closer. These are the craftsmen whose hands helped build our cities, the mothers who faced unthinkable disaster, the bright students whose family support vanished overnight. This wall of shame is often heavier than any backpack they are forced to carry. For the social workers and outreach teams on the front lines, this is the landscape of impossible choices. Their work is a constant moral tightrope walk over a chasm of overwhelming need. Every day brings the same heartbreaking questions. With only a handful of shelter beds available, who gets a safe space tonight? And who must be turned away? Into the darkness? How do you begin to build trust with a person whose life has been a long series of broken promises from every system they were supposed to be able to count on? The emotional toll is immense. A quiet burnout fueled by profound empathy in a world of profound scarcity. And woven through all of this is a cruel and confounding paradox. In many municipalities, the very act of surviving, sleeping in a park, resting in a public space, is treated as a criminal offense. It is a system that punishes people for the poverty they cannot escape, creating a vicious cycle where a citation leads to a warrant, and that warrant becomes another insurmountable barrier to finding a job or securing housing. A bitter irony in the land of the free, where the fundamental freedom to simply exist is not guaranteed to all. Section 7. Glimmers of Innovation and Hope. Even in the face of these challenges, innovation is taking root. In Mesa, the Compass Point Initiative provides small, dignified living spaces, not just a temporary shelter, but a launchpad for rebuilding a life. Technology is being harnessed to create real-time maps of needs, allowing volunteers to deliver targeted aid where it's most urgent. Private companies are dedicating apartment units to affordable housing programs, and local businesses are creating pathways to employment through job training. Stories like that of Samuel, a man who once lived in his car and is now a peer navigator at the very initiative that helped him, are becoming more common. He now uses his experience to guide others through the system he just escaped. These examples prove that transformation is not a miracle. It's the result of opportunity, meeting human resolve. With trust and a genuine chance, lives can be and are being rebuilt. When we look at the streets of Arizona, we see more than just tents and sleeping bags. We see a mirror reflecting our own community, our priorities, and our compassion. To be homeless is not just to lose a structure of brick and mortar, it is to lose your footing in the world, to become disconnected from the social fabric that holds us all together. Our task, then, is not merely to build shelters, but to rebuild pathways to belonging. It is to create a community where every single person feels seen, valued, and safe. Because a home isn't just four walls and a roof. It's the place where your story is safe.